All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the GTG Kuwait's session on International Women's Day, Build Your Brave, today with Nicole Trick-Steinbach. We're very honored to have her here to talk to our community, share her interests and her passion for the topic of bravery. And Nicole's equally excited. She lives the skill of bravery and the joy of failure while inspiring others to find their courage to do the same. So before Nicole stepped into her genius as an international bravery coach for women in tech, she grew up struggling in a single-parent family and overcame a speech impediment. So she's also a former tech executive. She's worked in over 25 countries and is at home in both US and Germany. So Nicole is on a mission to redefine brave, away from fighting and crushing the competition. So towards lifting each other's up, which is definitely what we need, collaborating for shared success, and living a life of love while building a career that matters to you. So I thank you for accepting to come and join us today, Nicole, and I'm excited to hear what you have and to start a discussion and to listen to what people are going through. So enjoy your talk.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for the invitation. It was wonderful. We met over Anita B. And I was so excited to get the chance to spend a little bit of time virtually in Kuwait again. So I haven't been there myself with my body, but because I've worked in over 25 countries, I've had the deep pleasure of leading projects and organizations with folks from or located in Kuwait. And today is kind of a special day for us over here. It is, let's see if this is go forward. Come on, I believe in you. Come on, Microsoft. It's St. Patrick's Day. So my son's name is Patrick. Today is a day that we have a lot of fun celebrating. You know, one of the wonderful things about talking to groups where an intro is shared is that I got a lot of information about me. One of the things that's not in there is that I was actually raised Catholic. I'm not practicing anymore. But St. Patrick's Day is a day where folks get to, you're supposed to wear green. I have on green socks, so I'm good. And Patrick actually came from pediatrician, which is to be a helper. And for some reason, we changed this into drinking a lot of Guinness beer. So I think there was some marketing there that was effective. And pinching people who don't have green on, which is, you know, not going to happen in these COVID times. But it is a day that's special to our family. And one of the bravest things that I did was I became a parent. So, you know, I did all these things in my life, you know, broke out of welfare. I give speeches, even though I still have a small stutter after decades of speech therapy. I've traveled to all these countries, first person in my family to go to university. I was actually in the military for a short period of time because if you're in the United States and you come from poverty and you're trying to break the cycle, university is so expensive. And if you join the military, they pay for it. All of these things that other people consider brave, and I have to tell you, they are. And becoming a mom, moving to Germany and living there for 13 years, learning another language, getting married, moving back to the United States, also, you know, brave in choosing ourselves, but becoming the steward for these two precious lives is something that today on St. Patrick's Day, and this over here is my Patrick. He has COVID hair, he has long hair, he loves it, and he's not giving it up. So now we're a family of all long hair. It's something that I'm really thinking about when I think about being even more brave and shifting the definition of brave from, as mentioned, crushing people and winning and going to war and all these things, into really reaching out, stepping into new identities, trying and failing, being brave enough to succeed. You know, one of the things that often comes up when I'm asking people this question is, I want to negotiate for my money. I want to negotiate a larger title. I want to be brave about my identity professionally. And it leads to this thing of, are you brave enough to succeed? What happens when you succeed? So at every one of these talks, I really try to share something that I'm trying to be more brave about at the very beginning, so that I'm always role modeling this movement, but also to inspire the folks I'm talking about or talking to think a little bit broader in this time. Yes, we are going to focus most of our time on professional examples and stories, but for you right now, this is your time. You know, I just found out you guys have 12-hour lockdowns. You're at home. It's been a wild year plus. It's only going to be more wild. And what is one thing you want to be more brave about? What is one thing, a skill, a mindset, a relationship? What is one thing you want to be even more brave about? And in the description, I shared that this is interactive. So I just, you've got a pen, or if you're like me and you love colors, you've got mini pens, and you've got a piece of paper, a journal. You'll notice that this is actually scrap paper. I have to print a lot of stuff out for my consulting work, and then I turn it over and I do my hard work on the other side. So just want to make sure that you have that, and you will be interacting as we move through this. All right. I like to give people signposts. I don't know about you guys, but you know, control is something that I'm very brave about. And so what we're going to do today is really go through a definition of brave. We've already started that. I'm going to share with you a very simple framework. It has 3 parts for how to build your brave. So whatever you wrote about as your goal to be even more brave about, you're going to go into action immediately, right here. You have that opportunity. And then I'm going to give you the chance to make a commitment to yourself. The word accountability, I just want to provide this in advance. The word accountability is going to come up a number of times. In this word accountability, for our context here, I want you to consider this as accountability to self. You can be held accountable by lots of things: your manager, your partner or spouse, your kiddos, societal norms, religious traditions, eating habits, scales, whatever these things are. For the context of our time together, I want you to think about accountability to self. This is your goal. This is your energy, your skills, and at the end of the day, your clarity, your momentum, and rest inside of yourself. The other thing is that this is an interactive session. I really want you, and I know that you guys are at home. You're going to hear a dog at some point, I'm sure. My kiddos just happen to have been able to get into the school building today. I want you to know that being brave also means showing up in your full humanity. So feel free to talk even when you have these noises. We are all here for you, and we are building the skill of showing up exactly who we are, how we are, and where we are, because my goodness, has it been a year. Alrighty, so first, we've already started on this a little bit more, but I want to give you some of the research. Now, in my experiences, a lot of the meta-level research level that I deal with in the tech environment. So I was an executive at a company called SAP, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. A lot of the times, anywhere in the world on the consulting organizations or on the strategic level conversation, people would talk about research, and what they actually were discussing was European-based research. And so in large parts of Africa, this isn't necessarily the case. In the Middle East, there's a little bit of some, you know, I am heavily influenced by that. Some cultures have a little bit less influence, some have a little bit more. So some of this is going to be like, what is she talking about? And other will be like, yeah, totally got brainwashed by that as well. So when we think about brave, a lot of the times what comes up is this idea of stress. And my hormonal, my natural, my instinctive response to stress. And there is this meta idea that the instantaneous and the sustained response to stress is based on fight, flight, or freeze. Is this something that you guys have also been? I see that there's a chat. So maybe, okay. So if this isn't something that has been, you know, drilled into you the way it was drilled into me and a lot of the North American and South American societies out of Europe, let me know, but I'm going to work on the assumption that you guys have been exposed to this as well. The reason that I'm sharing that this is a theory is because the initial research done to say, hey, the human's response is fight, flight, or freeze was actually done on traumatized white European soldiers after World War I. I don't know about you, but I don't really identify with that. I am not a traumatized soldier. It's not in a time when we don't have this type of perpetual contact, perpetual virtual exchange. And also, I'm not a white dude from Europe, right? So a lot of times these soldiers were actually, they were lower class, they were not highly educated, and they were sent into war by the global elite. That is still true today, but this research, right? They have redone this research in something like 90 different settings. And what they've realized, what these researchers have realized, is fight, flight, and freeze is an instantaneous, short-term, testosterone-based response. The actual human response, beyond this nanosecond, this very short kind of or run or fight, right? It's actually tend and befriend. So when we think about brave and the definition of brave, many of us need to push aside this concept that when I feel stress, when I'm stepping into a new situation, when I have failed, when I have succeeded, my response is going to be fight, flight, or freeze, and that's it, until I can calm myself down. We need to step away from that and say, yes, there's this instant response, but the actual longer term response is to reach out to ourselves, tend, and reach out to others, which is befriend. I've shared all of this to now say the following. Ready? What if what you think is fear, what you think is anxiety, what you think is agony, is actually your body, your spirit getting ready to be awesome? What if this anxiety is actually exhilaration and we just don't understand that yet? How would that change how you define brave and how you show up? So you guys are in tech, so there's a lot of background that you have. When I give this speech to more generalized or more junior audiences, I actually have here, feel the fear and do it anyway. For you, what I want to suggest is what would happen if what you were taught was anxiety, was actually exhilaration? What if instead of scared, pulling back, warning that it's not going to work, what if that was actually you getting ready to be awesome? And if you chose to redefine brave, what would change in how you show up? How would that change the goal you set that you want to be even more brave about? All right, so with that, let's move forward. Hopefully this PowerPoint, here we go. Here we go. This is now the contextual piece. All right, this is the framework. Now, as you guys have picked up, I'm a little bit confused. I have a really good time. I spend a lot of time ensuring that I am in my joyful space, right? For those of you that, because sometimes I see a presenter and I'm like, ooh, I want to see about that. If you've seen my old speeches when I was still a global executive, I was very straight. One of the reasons I chose to go out and build my own business is because I actually love to have fun. And so this framework here, I want you guys to know, if you want the research, I can make it available to you. This is based on the ProSci model for individual change, the psychological systems for trauma and for healing, as well as organizational development practices, etc. Now, I have taken a lot of that, I have distilled it up, and based on the experience of over 7 years of coaching, my own experience, clients' experience, and my own kooky sense of humor, these are the parts, okay? So the parts, as you can tell, they overlap. So I have artificially said, this is part 1, this is part 2, and this is part 3. You and your goal are the area where they all overlap with each other, okay? They also feed back into each other, and you will see that in the interaction. Tell it to your dentist is all about clarity. Clarity. We're going to do an exercise for each of these. This is clarity. Experience it like a kindergartner. And yes, we're going to go counterclockwise. There's a psychological reason what's important is that we're going counterclockwise. Experience it like a kindergartner. This is momentum. And own it like a boss. This is the accountability that I mentioned. Okay. Tell it to your dentist. Why is it called tell it to your dentist if it's about clarity? All right. I don't know about you guys. I've gone to a lot of different dentists. They all love to talk to me with their stuff in my mouth. I was just there because I grew up poor and without health insurance. I don't have great teeth. And he was having this whole conversation with me. Imagine if your goal, not if, when your goal is so specific that not only do you understand it, but you can describe it when your dentist has their hands and their tool in your mouth, you can still say your tool in such a clear, succinct, unique way that your dentist gets it and actually can consider how they can support you. That is a level of clarity that most people never get to and then wonder why they're not getting their goal. You can get your goal. Experience it like a kindergartner. Remember those adorable children I sent you? So Patrick is my oldest, Matilda is my youngest. Could not have had more different children, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're incredibly different. And they learn and they act and they experience things in a very different way. So my son, Patrick, he learns first. That's where he enters into his spiral. So he looks, now he'll read. He's this big Wikipedia fan. This kid is amazing. And only then will he take a small act. But he always enters, almost always enters, in the learn cycle. My daughter, on the other hand, sees something new, rushes towards it, has the experience, learns from it, and then rushes towards it again. right? So she enters in the act cycle. Both of these are equal, they're valid. There's not like this is better than this or this is better than this. It's just that different people experience learning and growing in different ways. But the really important part here is the word experience. You're going to have the feels. And what if what you've been told is anxiety is actually exhilaration? What if? Feel the feels. And own it like a boss is, oh my goodness, this is where I spend most of the time with my personal clients and where I spend most of my time as well, which is making sure my mindset, my habits, my relationships, my skills, my day-to-day life, my finances, all of these things, I'm shifting them so that they support the goal because I'm achieving it because I have clarity and momentum, and also who I am when I am inside of this goal. Okay, so that's where it is. Oh, Miriam, I'm loving it. Yes, so Miriam has said, many people told me that I can't do something in a short period of time, but I did it anyway, and it was an awesome experience. Totally agree. I should not, quote unquote, have been in the boardroom of Norwegian Oil, SAP, all these other places. I'm a girl from a broken home in Appalachia with a stutter. Did it anyways. All righty. So here we go with the interaction. So this is really an invitation to you. Now, you can type on your computer. You can use your handy or tablet. I am not pedantic about that. There is a lot of power in actually having a visual, audio, and tactile learning experience at one time. So there is a benefit to using a pen and a paper or a crayon and a paper to have this experience. All right, let's dive in. Part one, tell it to your dentist. This is where now I'm going to slow down the energy I'm bringing you with silence. You've already written down what you would like to be more brave about. Now I want you to write that in a goal form. Recently I was asked, could you please add in a goal form so that we have an example? Something like, well, okay, let me be, yeah, why did I come today? So one of the things that is really important to me in the time that we spend here together is having the opportunity to build more cultural exchanges, because I was certainly raised in an environment that wasn't super open to anyone different. I think that's the nicest way I can say it. And then when I went to college, when I moved to Germany, when I traveled to all these places, we are so different and we are all humans. We have so much more in common. And so one of my goals is build more human connection. Okay. What is your goal? I'm going to give you 15 seconds of silence to write it down. Okay. This is your invitation to experience this and potentially shift the achievement of your goal in the next 20 minutes. Okay. When we think about our goals, there's a couple of things here that you need to do. You need to add specifics. So my goal is to build human connection. My goal for this is to build 2 new connections today through this virtual session. That is a very different statement. It's more clear. People can support me with that. So now that you know I want to have 2 new human connections, at the end, when you see my LinkedIn stuff, you know that I genuinely want to connect to you. Okay. In simple verbs, I build human connection. Now, in a lot of languages, it's something like 85% of languages, there are these continuous forms or these conditional forms. What I am talking about is your current verb. In this space, I build. Whatever that is in your language or any of the languages that you speak, you want to make it simple. The reason is because it conditions your brain to respond in a different way. Here's the big one, and I'm going to give you another 15 seconds. Do not overthink. Internal bravery and clarity is what we've already done. External clarity is sharing your goal with others. So I just shared my goal with you guys. More than 3 to 5 people, 14 people, 13 people. For your goal, you want to write down 3 to 5 names of people that can help you with your goal.
Just leave her, close it. She doesn't want to come out.
Hey.
So sorry.
There you go.
We've got issues with animals. Never mind. All right. So I was going to share my goal.
My dog is
right. Happened at the same time. But anyway, I wanted to ask before I share mine about how, like you said, some things that are internal that might not be for fixing the world around us, which is all our goal, and we have so many goals in that sense. But to be able to be the best of ourselves, we tend to want to heal ourselves, I guess. So that's something I have not been really good at. And so when you first said, okay, identify your goals, so I'm like, okay, well, I need to get to that. So I need to be brave for addressing that. So if you could just give us your intake on that, then I would appreciate it.
So you and I are totally bonding on this because this is what I'm working on right now. It's internal healing. What's so fascinating is that as we grow into these larger, elevated, bigger, more aware, whatever versions of ourselves, right? What I am realizing is that there's always an additional level of healing and self-belief. And so for those of you who are interested, on LinkedIn, you can actually see how, I think it was 3 weeks ago now, I did a horse-led coaching. Weirdest thing. I was so nervous, felt uncomfortable, had to be very brave because these things are like half a ton big. I mean, they're like 1,000 pounds. They're enormous. And being in this pen alone with this horse and the human coach is on the outside was a little nerve-wracking for me. But every time I step into a new level of success, every time I attempt something and I fail, I realize that there's a self-belief about myself. There's a level of healing of self that I need to work on. And so in that situation, being conscientious about who you share your goal with is really important, right? So I'll be very raw. I missed so I have my own business, I'm global, and I missed one of my KPIs for this quarter, and I was really upset, like irrationally upset. It makes no sense. Right? I've worked all over the world, multi-million-dollar budgets, hundreds of people in the project teams, and missing this one KPI, I started to create the story about how I had reached my plateau of success and I wasn't going to go to the next level. Crazy pants, right? And so what it came up for me was this identity of being an executive was still holding me back, even though it's a great thing to be. And I needed to work on belief in self and this additional identity, taking what serves me and leaving behind what doesn't serve me anymore. Mindset, financial investments, my board of directors for my personal development has to change. I need a different type of person in there. And the way that I identified that last part is because I went to my usual trusted advisors and I shared, hey, this is an identity goal that I have now. Every time someone meets me, I'm no longer going to say, hey, I'm a former SAP tech executive. I'm going to say, I am a business builder. That feels very uncomfortable for me. Can you see me turning red? And two of the people said, I can't help you with that. Because when you reach out to these 3 to 5 people, there are 4 general responses. Hey, you already do that, think bigger. That's not a goal for you, which then you really need to question if those people are the right people for your new goal. I can't help you with that, right? I support you, but I can't help you. And the 4th one, I'm blanking on. Oh, how can I help? This is the coolest one, right? And so when we're thinking about those internal goals to bring them up to achieve external results, amazing that you're starting there. I am certainly in a phase of that right now. There are consequences to that clarity that you build into momentum and accountability. Hoping, okay, I see you nodding. I have to look up to my other screen to see you nodding.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Hello. Hi, Nicole. My name is Marianne. I'm enjoying every minute of this session. I just want to hear your opinion about an issue I'm having myself. It's about accountability. Many people sometimes count on me for like many things in their lives. When it comes to me, I need the brave to count on myself to do like certain things in my life for me. So I'm having some difficulties in doing this. I don't know why. Maybe it's healing thing. I don't know. But this is the issue I'm having currently now.
So, first of all, that's very brave as well to share. And I work primarily with women in technology. I have some men that I coach. These men tend to be men who have done therapy and who are coming and saying, I want to have an amazing career, but I also need to do more at home, right? There is an entire cultural aspect to that. I don't mean like our nationalistic or our, so for example, the German tribe culture. I mean like global societies, right? It is a globe that's based on a patriarchal ideal that puts additional pressure on women. What I would like to suggest is that we come into that in the next exercise, and then especially in the 3rd exercise, and then we come back into your question and make sure that you got addressed. You got it?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Totally fine.
Awesome. And quick side note, I had to teach the school that kids have 2 parents. They can also call the dad, who, by the way, was a work from home dad, like a stay-at-home dad. Anyways, all righty. So where are we here? Why did this come up now? Okay, yes. So before we go into the next phase, I want to just very quickly share some visualizations to prepare you.
Nicole, just one comment. Do you mind if we stop recording, and that way maybe everybody can feel more comfortable sharing how they feel and questions?
Stop recording. 1,000,000%. Go. I'm here for you. 1,000,000%. Yes.